College football is right around the corner, and we have a fantastic deal up at WagerTalk to get the most out of your season. Kevin Dolan, the Irishman, has got an incredible 105, 68, and 3 on all 4 and 5% college best bets since joining WagerTalk for over 127 units in total profit. If that wasn't enough, Kevin has also added over 78 units on all soccer best bets to the client bankroll since May as well. For a limited time only, you can pick all of Kevin's college and soccer plays combined into one huge package that takes you right through the end of the year for only $649. That's less than half the price as Kevin continues to be lights out on all top plays across both sports. Don't miss out as Kevin looks primed for yet another standout year in college and soccer.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Happy Thursday, guys. Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. This is another edition of Stoppage Time. Big games coming up this weekend. Champions League the last couple days, some Europa League games going today, but we are going to look at a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday game like we normally do on Thursdays. With me from WagerTalk.com, Kevin Dolan and Nick Borrman. Pavlos is on vacation this week, but will return on Tuesday. Nick, I'm going to bring you in first. Congratulations, my friend. A new addition to the family. A little girl should be playing for the U.S. women's national team in 19 years from now?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Everything's good. We're all happy and healthy. I'm tired as hell, but I made it here. Forget how hard these first couple of days are, but we'll get through. But she's doing great. Mom's doing great, and so excited to have another one in the world. I'll be hitting you up for a junior jersey here soon, Carm. You hooked up my son with one, and he loves that thing.
We will definitely get one to you, Nick. Again, congratulations, and it's going to be a hectic year for you, my friend. Early or late nights and early mornings, but I'm sure you'll get through it. You made it through Korean soccer at 3:00 in the morning. You can do this. Kevin Dolan, my man, 5% winner yesterday. It was the easiest of easy, I think, with Benfica plus money beating and handing PSV their first loss of the season. That team, I think, had won 6 games between league, Super Cup, and Champions League play. So congratulations on that win. And you are our capper of the week. You have a 5% play going this weekend, and I'm going to have a 50% off code on the show for anyone that is tuning in and following. How you doing, my friend?
All good, and I'd just like to echo your thoughts on congratulating Nick. We 3 Bormans now. It's crazy times, but we got that 5% winner, as you said. I believe you had the same side as well. 4% ticket on West Brom. They blew out Sheffield United 4-0 as well, so that was good. And I have to say, actually, the English lower leagues, Championship down, have been really good to me to open up the new season. So might look to focus more and more on those as the season winds on. And as you said, 5% loaded up for this weekend as well. So pretty excited about that. And also, for those interested, got a new mug, PlayStation. Very nice. I'm not advertising for PlayStation. It's not a promo, but it's just I really like the mug. So thought I'd show it off. Let's get into the show.
All right. Awesome, my friend. Yeah, guys. Okay, so these are the 3 games that we are going to cover that are being played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to start with, obviously, while it's not a marquee matchup of the 2 teams that are playing in this game, it is a marquee matchup. It's the big game on Friday. We get to see in a different uniform for the first time, none other than Lionel Messi, who will be starting for PSG and sporting number 30 and not his regular number 10. So he'll start with the number 30 jersey. They're selling a ton of those all across Europe. We'll then go to a Saturday game, Everton and Leeds. I'll talk about this game. I did a free play on this on Wager Talk yesterday, and we'll discuss this game. Well, and then we'll cover a Sunday game as Nuno Espirito makes his return to Wolverhampton as Tottenham look to make it 2 right out of the hop and top of the league. So let's go right off the bat. We're going to start with PSG and Brest. This one is Brest is plus 1,000. The draw is plus 600. PSG is minus 450. The total is 3.5. Now, this is a huge game as far as odds go. So I'm more concerned with the goal line here, and this is where I'm going to go to Nick first on this one. The goal line here is -2. Obviously, unless you like the home side at plus 1,000, you can't lay minus 450 on PSG, even though you know they're likely going to lay a big one on Brest here. -2 goals, total 3.5. Where are we going here?
Yeah, this game is going to have a lot of attention for sure with Messi lacing it up, and it'll be interesting to see Neymar as well. Frisch mentioned that he's expected to be in this game as well. They've both been practicing and playing this week to get ready. It'll be interesting to see how Pochettino lines them up. How he comes in with the big three, Mbappe in there as well. Are they all going to start? Are Messi, Neymar, and is anybody on any sort of time limits? Neymar more likely than anybody, just not fully fit yet. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes out with these lineups. Assuming, we get confirmation of them playing in the starting lineup and all that. I'm actually seeing this at -1.75 right now. I think it'll definitely go to -2. And at that point, I'll actually think the value is on Brest at +2 goals. 2 goals is just a lot to lay. We saw that in the last match for PSG against Strasbourg, where they won 4-2, even though they were clearly the better team. Of course, they didn't have Messi and Neymar in there, but most likely what we're going to see a lot, at least in the beginning of this season, for the next couple of weeks, is overreaction to the line. Public's going to be all over Messi, all over Neymar, all over Mbappe. I mean, yes, it's a formidable trio up front, and I think it's going to provide some value on, the books having to adjust because they're going to get a lot of public attention. So this may be a game that starts with. If this thing actually got to 2.25, which I don't think it will, it's a no-brainer for me. But at +2, I do think there's value on Brest. However, the way I'm going to actually play this game, I already have a small bet in for this one, is I still think PSG are going to win the game. Clearly, they're the better team. And they've been very good so far in their meetings with Brest over the last couple of years. And really, they're a very strong defensive team, PSG. And I think pairing PSG to win the game and under 4.5 goals, so you get an extra goal here, for a -125 price is pretty interesting way to play this game. The way I look at this with PSG is, or especially anybody playing PSG and Brest here, is they're going to have to set up defensively, right? I mean, there's no way Brest can get into a up and down type of a match. As soon as they do that, PSG is going to light them up. I mean, Mbappe's one of the fastest players on the planet, and of course, you got now 3 of the best finishers in the world all on the same team. You just can't do that. So I believe we're going to see Brest really sit back, really try to play defense, try to slow the game down as much as they can. They're not going to be able to do it for full 90 minutes, but hey, perhaps it starts off a little slow. Perhaps it takes a little while for PSG to get going. So I think the under provides a lot of value. At the same time, PSG, because of that, I don't see Brest getting many chances at all during this game. So it could be a 2-0 type of a win for PSG, but I do like PSG and under 4.5 goals as a good combo play. Brest, they've been pretty good so far defensively. They've had 2 1-1 draws against Lyon and Rennes. That's Kev's favorite team. And they allowed just 1.32 expected goals to Rennes and just 1.18 to Lyon, which is pretty solid. So I think they are going to be decent this year in the league. They won't be towards the bottom of the table. I think they'll be a mid-table team, but I think it starts here. They'll set up defensively, and I think this is going to be slow. PSG and under 4.5 goals is how I'm looking.
Nick Borrman, WagerTalk.com, with some good actionable info. And I agree with you. Listen, early on in these seasons, and it's because of, having the competitions that we had in the summer with the Euros, with Copa America, not so much the Gold Cup, but these teams not every single team is up to full speed yet. I think you have to give it a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks before you want to start laying any big number. And yeah, sure, PSG is the best team in League One, and they're likely going to win that title. I'll stop short of saying they are guaranteed to win the title, but I mentioned if you wanted to make an easy 20% on your money, you could have just laid the PSG to win the title at -500 a couple weeks ago, and you just sit on that if you have a substantial bankroll to make some money off of that, because that line was going to go up. It's -1,200 now. It's unplayable at -1,200 to win the league. But at -500, it's 20% on your money if you just park it for the 8 months that is a League One season and just collect in May. Kev, -2 here. It seems like a big line. And as Nick said, the home side is probably going to try and defend as much as you can. At some point, if there's an early breakthrough, this game just opens right up, and it is probably a one-sided affair. But the longer it is scoreless, the better that +2 looks. Would you entertain the thought of taking the home side here?
Look, the match line is tough. -2 is a big number. And, as Nick said, Brest have actually opened up the season really well. Those are two good results. Like, we know how good Lyon are. And, Rennes cost me a bit last year, so I swore off them. But, look, they're still a good side. They're decent, like the European levels. So, and as Nick also said, they had a much higher expected goal differential than Rennes in that last game as well. So their numbers stack up, to the results they've been getting, even despite that late equaliser. So, Brest are a team playing really well right now. On the flip side, we got that PSG team banked 6 points from 2 games, so you can't ask much more from them than that. But, they've looked sharp in front of goal, but they failed to keep a clean sheet against either of the bottom 2 clubs in Troyes and Strasbourg this season. And that's concerning for me here because, when you're looking at a +2 line, if PSG continue to ship goals, they'll need to score 4 minimum just to cover this line. So it is high. I think both the match and goal lines here are absolutely spot on, in fairness. I could see all 4 scenarios covering here. But, if you're looking for a way into this match for me, the way I'd suggest is PSG halftime, full-time prop is going off of -138. I quite like that. PSG have been absolutely explosive in front of goals to kick off this campaign. 2 goals inside the first 21 minutes against Troyes. I got to keep practicing Pavlos's pronunciation. 3 goals inside the opening 27 minutes as well against Strasbourg. And that very likely means we see an equally fast start here, from Paris as well. So, yeah, PSG for me to be winning at both halftime and full-time, -138. That's the way I'll be looking to play this one.
Yes, Troyes. That we have to thank Pavlos, as he will school us every once in a while before the show goes on the proper pronunciation of some of these teams. We'll get it wrong at times. It's kind of like a Chelsea player who just signed with was it Besiktas? Missy Batshuayi, and I get his name wrong every single time. I used to butcher it even worse than that. So congratulations to him on that loan assignment. Okay, guys, let's go to EPL here. Saturday game. This is one where I'm completely confused by the line. The current line, the line, this was the line a couple days ago. Leeds at home +110. The draw is +260. Everton +225. The total is 2.75, which is a split line of 2.5 and 3. The current line on this one is now Leeds up to +137, 240 in the draw, +200 on Everton. Everton getting some money in this game. Nick, I'm going to go back to you on this one. Listen, Leeds aren't as bad as that game, their first game out at Old Trafford, where they were bombed 5-1 by Man United. The XG numbers in that game, I believe, were 1.79 to 1.60. I could be wrong. I had them written down what the actual numbers were on that one, but it wasn't as bad. 1.60 for Man United, 0.067 for Leeds in that game. Completely different than what that 5-1 scoreline was. And I did mention on Wager Talk today, yesterday's show, that the VAR rules in England are different this year. Now, if the on and offside, if the VAR lines overlap, it is still a good goal. Whereas last year, if a guy's toe was offside, the goal was called back. So they've made some changes to the handball rule, and made changes to even some even a little bit of interference in a box where a player goes down. It isn't an automatic, clear and obvious foul and penalty. So kudos to the Premier League on making some changes to VAR. But getting back to this game, Nick, Everton, they completely outplayed Southampton in the second half of that game, scoring 3, winning 3-1. But this isn't Southampton they're not playing at home. And while they were a good road team last year, Nick, and I know you keep an eye on these things, I have to think that Leeds comes out and is much better this weekend at home.
Yeah, I would think Leeds is going to at least have better results than the last one. You're right, that score line was inflated last week. United scored 5 goals on 1.6 expected goals, which is unlikely to happen consistently. But the point here for Leeds is that defensively they've not been good. I mean, last year they were the third worst team in expected goals allowed. They averaged 1.66 expected goals allowed per game, which the two teams that were worse than them are both relegated down and playing in the Championship League this season. So it kind of shows you the class that they have. United, even though it was only 1.6 expected goals, they did generate 16 shots, 8 of them on goal. So again, they got chances. Maybe they weren't all the best chances in the world, but it just proves that Leeds do leak quite a bit on the back. Everton, no doubt they were impressive. 3-1 win over Southampton, generating 2.39 expected goals, allowing just 0.58. Just 6 shots allowed for Southampton. Pretty solid there. And, when I look at this, these kind of numbers, what I usually like to do is just simply, take it as it is and take the better team, or at least the better defensive team, which is Everton, catching plus goals. I don't like to lay anything on teams that just don't have good defenses, and that's Leeds right now. I mean, even if you look at the preseason, there's no indication to me, at least, that there's going to be any sort of improvement. They played 7 friendlies, and we know they're just friendlies. But listen, it's warm ups to these games. They allowed at least 2 goals in 6 of those. By the same token, though, they scored in all but one of those friendlies, and they scored in 28 of 38 league games last year, and of course did net that one against United as well. So their offense is what saved them last year. Their defense was bad. I don't think it's going to be much different for them this year. I think it's going to be very, very similar type of a season for them. They'll win some games because they outscore their opponents. They're going to lose some games simply because their defense is bad. They're going to give up some crap goals. So they're last year they averaged 3.05 goals scored per game, and they had the highest expected goals total at 3.22. That's both allowed and for added up. So 3.22 expected goals per game was the highest in the Premier League for Leeds last year. So I like Everton plus a quarter of a goal, but really the total seems like a no-brainer at over 2 3/4. Again, I just think, Leeds is going to probably net, and they're probably going to concede. So I'm just looking for one more to at least cash half that ticket. So over 2 3/4 goals is my favorite way to play this one.
Yeah, Nick, I have to agree with you. We have to see goals here. You have an Everton side that have players that can put the ball in the back of that net, and Leeds that play a game that is, quite frankly, it's a wide open game, an attacking game. And when you get caught and teams get behind that back line, as United did, regularly in that game last weekend, it's a recipe for disaster as far as if you're an under player in the game. So I think this can only go one way, and that's probably goals in this game and over that total of 2.75, which will probably hit 3, I think, even with a little bit of plus money on the over by game time. Kev, give me your thoughts on this game.
It's funny. I was actually reading earlier that Leeds went 15 seasons in the top flight division in English football without losing an opening day game. So last week's loss to Manchester United was the first since the 1980-81 season. And that year they went on to open up the season 0-2. So there could be some deja vu for them here on Saturday. The reason I bring that up is that opening day loss in 1980-81 that Leeds suffered was against Manchester United. And even more spooky than that, came via a 5-1 scoreline as well.
No.
So, I can imagine Pavlos would actually love a stat like that. So if history repeats itself here, Everton could be the play. Some things have obviously changed for, Everton here. Rafa Benitez coming in for Carlo Ancelotti, obviously. But the core of this team is effectively still the same. Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, James Rodriguez, who's actually out for this game, Doucouré and so on. And, Everton were absolutely electric on the road last season. We just went over that. Joined third in the table on total number of wins. They beat out the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. And, this is a team who've lost just twice over the last 15 road games and all. So if you're going to give me a quarter goal head start here, I'll likely take that. But I firmly agree with you guys. I think the over is the play as well. So, lean to Everton on the quarter goal line on the over.
All right, you guys have Everton. I am going to go with Leeds in this one, and a 2-1 score line for Leeds exact score, which pays at plus 900, guys. So let's see if we can cash one there. Okay, guys, before we do our final game, we're going to do our Capper of the Week segment. The Capper of the Week is every Thursday. We will pick one of the guys on the show that has a big play going on the weekend, and we will also give you a coupon code for 50% off that play. Kevin Dolan is coming off that win yesterday with Benfica as a 5% play at plus money is this week's featured capper. You can get 50% off Kev's 5% play this weekend using the coupon code KEV50. Let's bring him in. Kev, you're going to preview a game going this weekend. Let us know what you're previewing and give us a free play on that game.
Yeah, Carmen, I'm actually going to turn over to one of the biggest games in the card this weekend, actually, and that's Chelsea versus Arsenal over at the Emirates. Chelsea are the minus 134 favourites right now. The draw is going off at a plus 275, and Arsenal plus 375. And, I have to take Chelsea in this spot, only laying around minus 130 right now. We saw last week Chelsea absolutely blow the doors off Crystal Palace 3-0. They barely got out of second gear in that game. And, while I'm not going to read a whole pile into that win in the grand scheme of things, we already highlighted in the season preview that, to me at least, Crystal Palace were the best value on the board to go down this season. But, even against lackluster opposition, such as Palace, there was no Kai Havertz last week. There was no N'Golo Kante either, both of whom were expected to start this weekend. And, of course, the big man himself, Romelu Lukaku, he's due to make a second debut for Chelsea this weekend. So this team, again, absolutely loaded from top to bottom. And on paper, at least, this is a complete mismatch. But, obviously, we know Highbury, the Emirates, that atmosphere will be electric. So, I expect Arsenal to be much better than they looked last week against Brentford. But at the end of the day, it's just how much better can they be? Arsenal have a fantastic recent head-to-head record against the Blues. 3 wins from the last 3 against them competitively. But that White-Mary partnership at the back for Arsenal looked weak to me last week. Potentially no Aubameyang or Lacazette again, either due to illness. Yeah, we just don't know at this stage if they're going to play or not. So there's plenty of uncertainty ahead of this one for Arsenal. And while I'm sure they'll no doubt bring 110% in terms of motivation, effort, this is a big London derby, as we said. I'm just not sure there'll be enough here. I've already taken Chelsea personally on the money line for Sunday. For me, they just look way too strong right now. And I envision a kind of 2-0, 2-1 type scoreline here. So, yeah, it's got to be Chelsea for me, minus 134. That's the play that I like for this weekend.
All right, Kevin Dolan, WagerTalk.com. You can get his 5% play on the weekend. Use coupon code KEV50 to get 50% off that $35 play as he looks to continue a very good roll with 5% plays in general at WagerTalk since April, where he's hitting at a very good clip. Guys, let's look at Nuno's return on Sunday. Tottenham and Wolves. The line here, Wolves plus 275 at home. The draw is plus 225. Tottenham plus 105. The total here is 2.25 goals. Those were the lines as of Tuesday. A slight change a little bit. The Wolves are down to 220 now, 220 on the draw. And Tottenham plus 135 at home. They are in action today in the new competition that they have, the Europa League conference play. Harry Kane, Nick, I'm going to go to you first. He's did not travel with Tottenham. and it's still up in the air on whether he will make his first appearance as the transfer rumors of him going to Man City still persist. Give me your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I mean, the big story here is definitely Nuno facing his former Wolves side. And, to me, this just looks like a bad spot for Tottenham. I mean, to come off that 1-0 win against City last week, which I know Kevin was not happy about. I happen to take Tottenham +1 in that game, purely just because I didn't really think they were going to win the game. I just didn't think they'd lose by 2 or more. That being said, I don't know. They prepped quite a bit at all offseason to prep for that game. Came in with a great game plan against City. Now they got to travel to Wolverhampton, and I know Nuno knows the team. Obviously, he was the manager for 3 seasons prior, and I just see this as a bad spot for Tottenham. The Wolves, they were actually pretty good, even though they lost 1-0 in that game against Leicester. They generated 1.33 expected goals. They allowed just 0.67, took 17 shots compared to just 9 for Leicester. So you look at the result and you might think, oh, the Wolves, down year again this year. But I don't know. I think they have a lot of chance to rebound this year. They were an interesting team the last 2 seasons. I guess it was 2019, so 2 seasons ago, I'll say. They finished 5th in the league in the expected goal table with plus 0.45, and they dropped significantly last year to minus 0.31. And I think they're closer to this team that we saw 2 years ago than we did last year. And I think they're a team set for some decent regression, positive regression this season. And I think it's a bad spot for Tottenham here. Big letdown coming in off that huge win against City. They put a lot of energy, a lot of effort into that game, a lot of emotions. And I just don't like this spot for them. So it's only a quarter of a goal on the Wolves right now, but I think it's a very good value to take them. I don't think it's going to move off that line, but I would grab it now just in case it moves to a 2-way pick'em type of a line. But unfortunately here, I'm not laying anything with the Spurs. I think it's Wolves or nothing.
Yeah, it's tough coming off a Thursday game as well too. Most of the team did travel, so it's not one of those ones, especially early on. And like I talked about, laying any kind of a goal line on the road when your team isn't 100%, and the Spurs, despite the 1-0 win, until they get a guy like Kane or a replacement back in, they aren't at full strength as of yet, and they're coming off a Thursday game. So with a couple days of rest, I'm not really sure against a Wolves side that does play very well defensively as well too, whether you want to lay anything there. The draw here, Kev, I'm going to go to you next on this one. The 1-1 draw is plus 550 here. I have to think that this is one of those games that could very well end in a 1-1 draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It's a realistic scoreline. This is a tricky game. Obviously, as you guys said, Tottenham playing away in Portugal tonight in the Europa Conference League. Not much turnaround there. And as Nick said, we also have that side story of Nuno travelling back to take on his former club just a few months after they let him go. So it'll be interesting to see how motivated, he'll be for this, kind of payback game ahead of this matchup. One of my favourite kind of handicaps in soccer actually is backing a guy like Jose Mourinho, like when he returns to a club for the first time after he's been let go. We've seen it against Tottenham and Manchester United a while ago where, he's literally chomping at the bit to get revenge. But I don't know. I just don't see that with Nuno here. He seems too mature almost. I think a lot of that departure was mutual. Nuno still holds a lot of love for this Wolves team, in my opinion. It's like the Portuguese B team over there. So, while he'd no doubt love to follow up that fantastic opening day win against Manchester City, I don't see it as any extra motivation for him personally, his departure in this Wolves game. Tottenham were arguably, a little fortunate last week, I thought, against City as well. They got out muscled for a lot of that game, but, fair play, they took their chances. And, by the same token, a game that, one of the most surprising games to me, I was on Leicester, but Wolves arguably a little unlucky against Leicester. I thought they played really well in that game, especially in the second half. Bruno Lage delivered his promised brand of attacking football, kind of changed their style. And Traore was running rampant in spots. He really should have scored. He was one-on-one with the keeper, sent it wide. So this is a really interesting game on Sunday. I think if you pushed me, I would probably go Tottenham. This will be effectively, I believe, a backup squad for Spurs tonight, even though some players are travelling. Nuno's confirmed that already. So they should be fresh and ready to go for Sunday. But in all honesty, I wouldn't be that surprised at all to see Wolves potentially get something from this game, even a win. So it's a lean to Tottenham for me on the minus quarter goal line. But, look, I'll be honest, it's probably not something that's going to make my card.
Yeah, and I think I feel the same way, Kev. Listen, the fans will welcome him back. The players will welcome him back. But the minute the opening whistle goes and they kick off, they're going to want to beat their former manager. It's just the way it is pretty much in every sport. All right, guys, we are just going to look quickly at Serie A obviously kicks off. It's why I'm wearing the Juventus jersey for today's show. It kicks off this weekend. It is the final of the 5 top leagues to kick off their season. I'm going to go to the guys and we'll just do a quick roundtable discussion on what futures, if any, they're going to take. I'm going to throw a couple obvious ones out there. I took this early on, obviously as a Juve fan, but they were plus 130 at one point to win the Serie A title. They're now down to minus 125. I took them early only because it was known for a while that Inter Milan, likely with a little bit of financial trouble, would have to get rid of some players. Obviously, the big one is Lukaku gone at Chelsea. A big part of their team. Juventus signing Locatelli obviously helps this team as well too. The plus 125, plus 130, I thought was a obviously good value that was going to drop. So I'm glad I beat the line movement on that. As far as teams to get relegated, Spezia is in for a tough season this year in Serie A. They are plus 137 to get relegated, and I believe that unfortunately they are going to head down to Serie B this season. So or for next season. So those are 2 futures for me as far as this season goes. Kev, Nick, I'll go to you next on this one.
Did you say me? I'm sorry. My internet froze for me on a second. I saw my face on the screen. I'm like, oh, they must have went to me. Okay. I agree with you, Carm, that Juve have the best chance to get back to the top this year. I mean, they're definitely going to be better than their results were last year, and Inter Milan is no doubt going to regress this season. The one consistent, though, that I like over the last 2 seasons is Atalanta. Number 1 in expected goals difference 2 years ago by a lot. And last year they were number 2 behind Juventus, actually. But they've been very consistent. They're getting better each year. They're getting more experience. They're learning how to manage Champions League play along with league play. And that was really their Achilles heel last year. They suffered a lot during the group stage as far as in Serie A goes. Their domestic form really stunk, for lack of a better way to put it, during that, because they don't have a deep squad, and they it's hard for them to manage both competitions going on at one time. That being said, as they move forward, if they can get through the group stage and not bleed too much in the domestic table, I think they have a great chance. They were the best team after February, coming into the end of the season last year in Serie A, and it's hard to imagine them, not having a chance come the end of the year. And that's really what I'm looking at. They're plus 550 right now to win the league. I think they provide good value, and I just looked at the domestic double for them is 40-1, which is fantastic. I threw a little bit of money on that as well, just because I think they have a very scary team once again. I think they'll be there towards the end of the season, and all I want in a future like that is a chance. We've talked about it a million times. There's plenty of outs. The last couple of weeks of the season, if it looks like they're unlikely to get where they need to. But I like Atalanta. I think they provide a lot of value. They're getting better every single year. And for the record, I do not like young boys.
There it is. Nick did watch Tuesday's show, and he's giving it back a little bit to our capper of the week, Kevin Dolan. I'm glad I wasn't drinking anything when Kev said that on Tuesday's show. I would have got it all over my computer screen. But kudos to him for having a good laugh with that as well. And yeah, Nick, this Atalanta team, I enjoy watching them. I'm a fan of the game first and foremost, and then sort of the teams that I follow. They're such a great team to watch. And you're bang on. Their first sort of that inaugural season in Champions League. When you're trying to manage those games as well as your team on the Sunday and rest players, sometimes it doesn't go as well. And it's one of those things that, if I can give advice to any of you guys out there that are betting these games, is once that Champions League season does start, you've got to really monitor the games before the midweek Champions League games on who these teams are playing domestically and what their lineups are going to look like. Everything from watching the sort of the Thursday and Friday manager conferences, the videos, and see if there's any mention of players resting on the weekend. Because the last thing you want to do is lay a goal and a half, or 2 goals with a big team that looks like they're going to lay a beating on someone in domestic league play, and then find out that 4 or 5 guys are being rested for Champions League in midweek. So it's something that you want to do. Protect your bankroll. It's a very important thing. This is a long-term game. Kev, any futures, Serie A?
Yeah, I just completely echo Nick's thoughts. Looking over the data last year, Juventus, Atalanta, 1 and 2 respectively, right across the board. Expected goals against expected points last season. So, Juve look decent, but, if you're going to give me plus 550, Atalanta look probably the overall better value right now in terms of an outright bet. I also like Parma to win Serie B at plus 250. Parma had the biggest positive or negative expected points differential out of any Italian team in Serie A last season, minus 17.49 points off their expected points tally. And, that would have been enough, all things being considered, possibly not for safety, but to see them, finish 5 points ahead of Benevento last season, really in a dogfight with Torino and Cagliari for survival as well. So, yeah, I think plus 250 is decent on them to win Serie B. And my favourite bet is the top goal scorer market, Dusan Vlahovic in Serie A, Fiorentina striker, plus 1,600. That looks really, really big to me. He was absolutely lights out to finish last season. Something I always like to look at going from February the 1st on, as Nick touched on, because you want to see who's hot coming into the new season. He had 14 goals and 18 appearances to close out the year from February the 1st on. Only Cristiano Ronaldo equaled that same number of goals over that same time. And at 21, this kid is simply unreal. Youngest goal scorer in the history of his former club, Partizan Belgrade. He scored 45% of all Fiorentina's goals last season. No other striker comes close to that sort of contribution for their team. And, we've said before, in backing players in this type of market, you don't want to have to share the spoils in a team. You want the guy is going to be the main target man for that particular club. So, yeah, I absolutely love that price on Dusan Vlahovic as outright top goal scorer. A guy who hasn't even hit his peak yet, and it's 16-1. It's definitely my favourite bet of the Serie A season.
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of attention from other squads throughout Europe. So it's something to look at. And you look at some of the prices when you're talking about these goal scorer props. Kev, you look at someone like Ciro Immobile of Lazio. This is someone who a couple of years ago lit it up in winning the Golden Boot in Serie A. He's plus 900. I'm seeing right now, or someone like Lautaro Martinez now with Lukaku gone, he could be the main guy at Inter, and he's plus 1,200. But I'm not sure what kind of a season Inter is going to have. They're still a good team, but losing some big players on that side has got to hurt this team. And to your point of Parma to close out winning Serie B, that would be a great story because it is the final season for Gianluigi Buffon. He started his career at Parma, went on to play for the national team for Juventus, winning a World Cup, a ton of trophies, and now he's back with his former side, and he's literally going to retire while trying to get them back into Serie A. So we'll see if that feel-good story actually happens. Guys, don't forget, Kevin Dolan is our capper of the week. You can get 50% off his 5% play that goes this weekend by using the promo code KEV50. Head over to WagerTalk.com, click on his cappers page, and you will find it there. Enter that code, and away you go. He's coming off a 5% easy winner yesterday with Benfica at plus money. Guys, thanks for tuning in. 3 games, some futures bets. We will be back on Tuesday to cover leg 2 of the final qualifying stage of Champions League. We'll see who makes it into the main tournament. And then the draw goes a few days later, I believe. And then we can finally get this tournament starting off in earnest. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button. And as always, guys, good luck with your wagers.
I'll just start off by saying, Dan in production needs to promise not to clip this to make me look bad, but I like young boys here. That's the side of the play I'd want to be on. And, it's actually kind of fun. I have a sense of humor like a 5-year-old, in all honesty, because, I actually forgot the name of the stadium, and it sounds like something off an episode of your Ted Lasso show, in all honesty, Carmine. Young boys playing at the Stadion Wankdorf, you'd be forgiven that.
College football is right around the corner, and
well
we have
played.
a fantastic deal up at WagerTalk to get the most out of your season. Kevin Dolan, the Irishman, has got an incredible 105, 68, and 3 on all 4 and 5% college bets since joining WagerTalk for over 127 units in total profit. If that wasn't enough, Kevin has also added over 78 units on all soccer bets to the client bankroll since May as well. For a limited time only, you can pick all of Kevin's college and soccer plays combined into one huge package that takes you right through the end of the year for only $649. That's less than half the price, as Kevin continues to be lights out on all top plays across both sports. Don't miss out, as Kevin looks primed for yet another standout year in college and soccer.